This tape recorder was discovered in the deepest areas of the Pyramid of Giza. It contains a long recorded narrations of the suspect, Phil, who was involved in some sort of revelation event. Of course, this may be an act of controversy. No evidence can clarify the event. However, the tape recorder is able to run for 2 to 3 weeks straight. This recorder was sent to the Republic to decide of this narration. Plus, this could fit as a fictional book. We will put this to the public of the USA to freely listen and read as to what has been recorded. Feel free to read and listen to this. I will state my conclusion in the end of this story. Have you ever heard of stories about secret government prisons, or a town full of demonic forces, or a woman with a strange tattoo that connects to some sort of god? If so, you might as well expect this one to be kind of just like them. But instead, I monitor a ton of entities none of us will ever believe. I work at a secret prison in the deepest oceans, far from all the continents of Earth. I can't tell you a lot about our location, it's classified information. And no, this is not conducted by the government. Instead, this has been started from an unknown identity. Nobody ever knew who started all of this. Although there are higher executives who have communication with that person, mostly it's all on the status of the entire prison and the secrecy. My job is to monitor the entities from different cells, the cells that are on my list to monitor. Whenever there is an escape attempt or any suspicious activity, I have to warn the entire facility to prepare to catch them. This doesn't happen very often, which I kind of lost that alerting sense in my head. It's been over like 2 years, there hasn't been anything wrong happening, well, just on my list. Others who monitor other cells have a different experience. One of them often alerted the facility with sheer annoyance, and the others had a terrible experience. Kind of like the mobile game of an animatronic lookout at night after 12. I slacked off for a very long time, watching the entities like watching a movie, daydreaming, sleeping, playing on my Switch, playing with my pistol I got for emergencies, and listening to music. I love listening to game music. They had this amazing rhythm that just tells the story of the character so well, sometimes at best. They expressed that voice the characters in games couldn't sing, the song that sings their hearts, and the instruments they use fit so well to the background of games. Shit, even Bag Piggy's main theme is so good. Whoops, excuse me for saying so much of that stuff. There are many kinds of entities with terrifying phenomena, full of mysteries I still wonder behind my head. None of the researchers could get single evidence of their origins, which leaves us to wonder. Some of them are silent cold, staring at the walls themselves, and even the cameras, which sometimes make me shiver at times. Some didn't do much, they just stood or sat on the ground silently, with the intention to be free once again. But some are much more active by running around madly, screaming, jumping around like total maniacs, sheathing their steel weapons, you name it. Mostly they were talking in a language most of us don't understand. Nevertheless, an alien language. The translators have worked hard to understand each sound of their language, even tried to communicate with them with pictures, objects, hand gestures, and expressions. That only works with a few of the entities. A lot of them would just maul, torture, crush, and so on. Before I got this job, I was met with a well-suited man, with sunglasses that hid away what dark secrets stood behind his eyes. We just chatted in the middle of the public restaurant as if it's normal. He just spoke about things that people should find strange, but nobody seemed to care at all. I didn't believe him at first. He gave me the location of where the prison is. And as you already know, I took this job without a hesitation. Why? I was looking for a job and there was nowhere for me to stay. I got kicked out of my parents' house, knowing that I'm a big disappointment to them. I've always been their disappointment, even at the very beginning. They even tell that I shouldn't have been born right at my face when I was just fucking 5 years old, for God's sake. I've been looking for jobs and yet there wasn't any that wanted me in. I was just another loser in society. Getting to my first day at the job was really weird, I tell you. First, I have to arrive to the beach at night, which they told me was a secretive process. I thought this sounded ridiculous, but I needed something to do and get paid for a living. We've traveled far along the ocean on a boat for what felt like hours. They got snacks for us to eat along the way. Until the sun started to rise from the horizon, we arrived to a bridge leading to a dark obelisk. This sounds rather creepy because why would there be a wooden bridge and an obelisk be sitting around nowhere? There might be something more behind it, which there is. We got off of the boat and walked towards the obelisk. As we got closer to the obelisk, I realized it was an elevator. An elevator in the empty space of the ocean. We went inside and descended for hours. You ever thought of the unknown things of the ocean? I tell you what, the thought of witnessing the unknown of the deepest depths of the ocean for the first time made my face sweat rapidly. I expected I might have the chance to take a peek of a nightmarish creature beyond comprehension. Our descendant stopped. The doors opened to reveal the lobby. The lobby was massive, the size of a mall. You can imagine it as some sort of secret government agency lobby. There are so many agents wearing different sorts of uniforms. Some were wearing SWAT officer uniforms, a well-worn business suit, a literal astronaut, engineering outfits, and lab coats. I was first introduced by the same man I met before at the restaurant, the man who offered me the job. I didn't expect to be a part of something like this. I used to expect it to be some sort of, I don't know, a place for the military and not secretive. Anyways, while giving me a tour around the facility, I was gazing at the sight of how massive this place was. Not to mention that there are many levels that were built deep into the depths of the ocean. How every level could be the size of the continent of Japan, and the many horrifying things this place contains, which makes my expectations for monsters become worse. Our job here is to secure entities that possess great immense power that could threaten the very lives of the multiverse. Many humans on Earth don't believe in such things, which keeps everything in place. If not, every single universe could be sent into a state worse than chaos itself. Some of us will travel around the cosmos in search of threats, while others will stay around and keep an eye on the entities at hand. The researchers studied the entities with caution, reporting as much information we needed if they ever escaped from their cells. He told me. We descended deeper into the depths of the facility. He led me to the monitoring room. It was small, well, not too small to move around. I can freely walk around the interior without bumping into anything. He gave me a stack of compendiums. Each compendium contains a mountain of info, and seeing it made my jaw drop. I was hesitant on reading all of that. Beholding my eyes upon this number of pages would be enough to give me an aneurysm. Fortunately, my brain endures. The man insists I must read it, and that I take notes on the journals written in those compendiums. And if I didn't read it nor make notes for a month, I'm dead, so to speak. The way he'd spoke of it is enough to convince me he wasn't joking around, and that I must do it. Afterwards, I'm kind of glad he did. Here's how it went. He told me everything I need to know in order to start working, and that is monitoring the entities I am designated to watch over, and if there are any signs that might indicate its escape, I'll have to push that red button screwed to the desk with a microphone and alert the facility. At the end of the conversation, he snarled at me as he spoke the words that sends a chilling reminder into my skull. And do not, under any circumstances, tell anyone outside of this knowledge, or let the entities escape without warning or play any jokes. Do you understand me? And with that, he left me to do what I'm supposed to do. Luckily, I don't have to rent a house, got a bed to sleep in too. Also, I can go anywhere around the world. America, Egypt, Australia, etc. That's how I got this stuff like music and all. But I can only be out there for 10 days straight. I didn't really do much out there, not really interested in material stuff. I'd rather keep wearing my uniform than buy other clothing. Like, what am I supposed to wear them for? I'm not a stylish type of guy. I had visited my parents, but only once. Before I could knock the door, I heard cheering behind the windows. I looked through it and witnessed their joy with their new child. You can say I wasn't happy about it. It hit me hard in the chest. But I'm glad they get to have the child they wanted. Albeit, I had wished they would just accept me as their child. But that went away. I tried to talk to other people in the facility, making friends and all, but all I get is backlash. Nobody wanted to be my friend, so I just remain alone with the entities in the cells. At school, classmates would push me around, kick, and tease me all day. And as time goes on, it got worse. Every time I opened the locker, a bunch of paper bursts out with cruel nicknames you can imagine. Sometimes they would bash my head into the toilet, other times they break my bones. For some reason, I don't remember my bones being back to normal in just a blink of an eye. It's been bothering me ever since. Despite the cruelty the world has on me, part of myself never loses the will to live a life. It's as if there was an angel by my side without me knowing. It's a question I can't figure out how to answer. Some days around work, we have to go to our designated gyms located at level 4. I was told to be there without giving much of a choice. We had to go through a training session of martial art combat practice, lift weights, etc. And the more I go to the gym, the more I'm starting to get used to it. One day I asked the gym leader as to why we need to do this routine for, and he gave me more info than I had expected. This training will help us become more durable to defend ourselves from the entities in this facility, and in order to capture the outside threat more efficiently. That's why you and everyone else must attend early and ready to get better results. Otherwise, you'd be a dead man. And this might not look much as you'd expect, but in all the gyms like this, a powerful energy source is built in this area. The energy affects our bodies to become more durable as we train. Now, get back to your training duty, scum. When I read the first page of one of the compendiums, I was already hooked up with the journals and entries. Like I said before, kind of glad the man insists for me to read and take notes. Despite the terrifying stats and info about the entities, I was invested to know more about everything the compendiums hold. And while reading them, I took notes about the biography of the entities and would write down my own thoughts on them. There are 4 compendiums containing massive number of pages detailing the entities that are imprisoned in this facility. As some of the reports stated, not all of them are completely explained, due to the many incidents of scientists stepping towards their impending death. After testing and testing, they designed new improvements, hoping to outmatch death. Unfortunately, they all died. It doesn't seem that there will ever be any improvement to defeat death at this point. They've done this for about thousands of times, and there hasn't been a single improvement that succeeds. There are many entities that look just as creepy and nerve-wracking as the report said. And those entities hold godly and complicated powers, and some of them aren't able to be seen but are just there. I don't want to go deep into that psyche stuff right now. Whenever someone goes near their space, they would thrash around, stomp them into mush, swallow them whole into a vortex of razor-sharp teeth, or contort them into a nightmarish figurine. There are also different sorts of aliens in here too. You can tell that the facility has one of those pale humanoid creatures. The one with big bug eyes and a big brain. Despite their uncanny looks, they don't really pose much of a threat without their technology. There are much worse aliens than you would be expecting though. And those aliens are either 7 feet tall, or at least massive the size of the continent of Australia. We even hold an ancient centipede that floats around the omniverse like it is its cage. How massive is our facility, you ask? Don't ask because there's no answer in the compendiums. There are humans too, and they're messed up. Some humans are possessed by an unknown force, speaking nonsense, crawling around the walls and ceiling, floating in the air while contorting itself into a twisted amalgamation, and even has telekinesis which killed about a dozen people near their range. There are others who aren't possessed, but hold powers that could have destroyed themselves. Some of them turn out psychopathic, using their powers for their sick entertainment or to use their powers to fulfill a prophecy. Those are the people who were gifted by a powerful unknown deity, whom chose them as their disciple to fulfill whatever fucked up stuff it is they're planning. However, there are some humans who aren't those psychotypes. Mostly, they just wanted to be normal, having a family, go to school, make friends, explore the world. But the facility prohibits that, which I didn't like hearing. Even though they have unique powers that could easily create chaos, they didn't want to hurt anybody, and that scared them deeply. Some of them are even kids, and they have no idea where they are and when they'll be going home. I wish they have the decency to have a normal life, to be a part of a family again and have a better life. Maybe someday they could finally be released and see the sun for the first time. That's not the only worst thing in here. There's patients who suffer terrible diseases for many years. And those diseases are fatal, but the facility just won't let them die. One of the patient's skin had been scorched into flames for years, screaming endlessly to no end of their suffering. Another suffered from the overgrowth of their bones that won't stop growing. It pierces through their flesh and organs. I wish that someday their suffering will end, but the scientists haven't found a cure to break the disease. They only give them more time to live in this lonely cold cell, with pain accompanying them. Sometimes I hope that someday they'll die in peace, released from their agonizing suffering. There are objects that holds many sorts of stuff. Knowledge of the universes, mechanics, strategies, and whatnot, plus holding many sorts of powers such as cosmic energy, gigantism, reality bending, or just an energy drink that boosts your abilities. And you can already tell that those objects are simple and easy to get. Found in sacred hidden temples from around the universe, probably for the sake of giving someone a power-up in case something terrible happens. And some of the objects are, well, emits a sense of curse, sort of like voodoo dolls and all. You know, I would have freaked out while working in this place, but it's the complete opposite. In fact, it becomes something normal to me. After working for 2 years in this place, everything just went as smooth as it is. Watching over the entities through the monitor sometimes gives me chills. Whenever one of the entities look at the camera, I felt as if they were watching my soul. Do they know I was watching? Well, they didn't answer directly. Some of the entities remain calm and seated on the floor, in a way the Buddha meditates. And the others, well, you guessed it, go rogue by smashing into walls and babbling nonsense. Now, I think I filled you in with enough info to know of this place. Regardless, this is just an introduction. I listen to some relaxing lo-fi music as I lounge on my seat. I imagine myself driving a car along the hill, watching the sun rise from the horizon of the ocean. The wind blew a cold excitement at my face. I take a look at the small window to see a peaceful smile on my face with sunglasses covering my eyes. I stared at myself a bit longer, seeing through my glasses. Suddenly, the ocean begins to boil. Smoke begins to burst out of the front of my car, engulfing me in slight darkness. I watch the ocean float to the sky as the atmosphere fades into blood red. The land that was once filled with the beautiful ocean begins to shake. The cracks split apart, flames burst out into the air, taking the shape of a dragon with devilish eyes. As the dragon of flame rises to the ocean in the sky, the sun emits screams of hatred. The sun grew an eye the size of its body, and it glared at me with sickening resentment, seeing through the mask I'm wearing. When I look back at the window of my car, my smile and glasses are gone. My mask has fallen to reveal a lonely, depressed face. Then I hear something growing louder and louder. Something is banging against a hard surface. I jolted awake from my daydream. I thought my music stopped, but that isn't the case. My headphones malfunctioned, same goes with my phone. I twist around and check the monitors to see the source of the banging. To my surprise, an entity repeatedly smashed its head against the wall over and over and over. This entity is the shape of a humanoid figure, except it has no face, arms, hair, legs, or butt. It kind of looks like the shape of an Egyptian mummified corpse. Looking at it is like looking into the deepest depths of the void. This entity has left no information for any of us to figure out its real purpose. Agents found it just standing over a land of wheat, as if waiting for something. At first, when the thing disappeared in a blink of an eye, they thought it went somewhere else they couldn't find it. But it teleported right at its designated cell, where the administrator wants it to be. There's no clear evidence as to why it just teleported there. It just did. And today, it did something unexpected. It just keeps banging its head all over again, as if it wants to leave. Or is it something else it wants? I quickly press the red button, wasting no time to see what will happen. Alert! Entity number 1032 is attempting to escape. I repeat, entity number 1032 is attempting to escape. Just as I finished my line, the alarms howled with crowded footsteps echoing on the other side of the door. I pressed the button again, turning the mic off. Rushing to the door, I opened it to hear the ear-piercing alarm, and saw a line of men wearing armored uniforms with their firearms ready to fire. Hey, what's going on? Stand aside, nitwit, or you're a dead man, he scowled. Well, guess I got to figure it out myself. I immediately shut the door and retreated back to the monitor and watched the pawn obelisk trying to break its head. My mind is racing, piecing together the event that is occurring right now. The alarm went up. A dozen men rushing to wherever they're after, and the pawn obelisk banging its head. Then suddenly it screeched at the top of its lungs like it's about to die. I cupped my ears desperately. The screeching would explode my eardrums. Damn, wish there was a mute button for this. Why couldn't they have the decency to put that? Some of the entities I watched over finally break out of their forever prison and started a rampage. Yet some still remained seated and calm in the middle of the commotion. I sparked a bone-chilling idea. The pawn obelisk isn't just a statue for display and teleports intentionally. It's a harbinger of the unknown enemy. Just as I thought about the idea, screams and gunshots burst out from the other side of the door. The sounds of screeching, screaming, and gunshot mixed together into madness. It gave me a terrible numbing pain through my head and spine. They kept shooting and screaming, fighting against something beyond my sight. Then the screams and gunshot were cut silent with a sickening crunch. The screech stopped. I stood immobile, not daring myself to go open the door. I quickly snuck my hand to the desk drawer and opened it as silently as I could. I grabbed my gun and switched the safety off. I don't know how this gun can pose any damage to the entity I'm facing, but I had to try at some point. Despite knowing deep down that I don't mean anything to the world, my instincts are to defend myself. Sometimes I had thoughts of, not existing. Would this world be better without me? Maybe. Then why do I still have hopes to keep living? I closed my eyes shut, breathed in and out. Just as I'm about to turn around and face the door, a sharp pain rooted from my chest. Standing in front of me is a tall, pale humanoid creature, with its large, sharp blade pierced through my chest. I gasped as I tried to fight back. It slams me to the ground and towers over me. I felt an immense burning pain coursing my entire body. I couldn't scream, even if I wanted to. I started to choke as my mind slowly dissipates. I wanted to look away from its hideous face, but its free hand gripped my face, forcing me to stare into its hollow, lifeless eyes, breathing a terrible smell of blood. Right now, towering before me, I'm staring at the face of death. Well, this is it then. I'm about to die in a way nobody wants. And that is getting killed by a demonic creature with hideous features that would make everyone puke. As I slowly fade to death, it whispered into my ear, "It has begun." Some people claim that when you're about to die, good and lovely memories flash before your eyes. You watch your whole life, everything you've accomplished, loved, and enjoyed. However, that's not the case here. Slowly sinking to death, all we see before us are the memories we never seem to remember. The memories we had experienced, but never to be brought up to remember again. Not even pictures can spark something out of us. A bright flash of light blinded me for a second, before it disappears to reveal my surroundings. I'm standing in a room, warm and peaceful. When I checked the walls, I realized this was my old room, except everything I had was not there. I heard a baby cry behind me, wailing for something. I expected nothing special from this memory, since my parents don't give a shit about me. I remained standing where I was, not turning to look at my baby self. Hey, it's okay. I'm here. The voice of a girl spoke from behind me. That voice. Something about that voice reminded me of someone. I knew it, but I just couldn't remember who it was, until I turned around to see. Is that, "I love you, baby brother"? She was holding baby me in her arms, patting his back. Her smile triggered something deep in my mind. She was my sister, but I don't remember having a sister at all. She wasn't there in my life. Was she? Did she leave me or something? Then flashes of visions blur my eyes. All of them were just us being happy together. Returned from school and just hugged me like I'm her first priority. Playing with toys, wandering around the garden. The flashing memories faded. I'm now standing on the pavement of a city, the place where I got homeless. I remembered this place, and somehow I even remembered that this was the day I got lost and scared. I found my way back to my home on my own that time, yet felt a guardian angel has always by my side, guiding me back home. In front of me is my young self wandering in fear. Tears roll down on his young, miserable face. Phil, it's her again. I peeked across my young self, catching sight of her rushing towards me. She's much older, about 13 or 14. Phil, my young self, turned around with such astonishing hope. They both ran into each other and hugged. My young self was the only one who cried so much. Dear God, please don't do that again. But this doesn't make any sense. If she was there, why can't I remember a single thing about her when I was still alive? As I tried to readjust to the memories, more flashes of memories blinded me again. Growing up as I go to school, get picked on, and being a failure. And in those times, she was there, protecting me, helping me along the way. We studied together, wandered around the forest, make dumb stupid choices, make dumb jokes, and always been there for me in the worst of times. A bright flash of light blinds me to the point of shutting my eyes closed. Until the light dissipates, I open my eyes. I'm in some sort of wedding ceremony in a church. I scanned my surroundings until I caught sight of my juvenile self sitting next to me, now 16 or 17 years old. I don't remember being in a wedding ceremony. Never have I placed my foot on a church. But this, I guess I have. "Hey kid, what's going on?" I asked. He didn't respond. He had a bright smile on his face, obviously overjoyed for someone's wedding. I heard a man spoke clear in his voice from north. I turned my head to see a man in a fresh, clean suit, with a rose displayed on his breast pocket. With only a slight peek of his face, my heart squeezed with regret. Something about that man tempts me to go right in and punch his handsome face. I don't know why, never knew the guy, of course. In front of him was his bride, my sister Iris. Bright golden light outlines her heavenly gown. Glittering specks of light sparkle her sapphire sleeves. Her blonde hair was covered by the ghostly veil. Her eyes glowed with the gifts of the ocean. She had a bright, lovely smile, the smile she always carries no matter how bad things can get. By the time they kissed, everyone jolted up in praise and joy. I looked around to see if my parents were there, but they weren't. That doesn't matter anyway. I saw myself stand with such exhilarating happiness. I was really that happy before. I never remember myself being so happy until my death. And this is what I've forgotten. But why don't I remember any of this? I want to keep them in my head. I want to carry those happy memories with me. And my sister, what happened to her? I wanted to know more, but suddenly, I jolted awake, gasped in shock. I scanned my surroundings to find myself back to where I was, which is the monitoring room. I was overwhelmed by the lost memories, recollecting what I have lost. The reason to why I never lost faith and hope in life, and why I felt someone was always there for me in the worst of times. I can see it. I have a sister, and for some reason her presence was wiped clean off from every memory from our past. She's been there for me this whole time. But where is she now? I don't know where she is right now, but I hope she's still alive out there. The thought of the only family I had to be gone sends a frightening jolt through my chest. I realized something changed about myself. I was completely focused on my reclaimed memories that I haven't given a single thought of the feeling I'm getting. It felt good, like really good, and I felt as if I've lost a ton of weight. It's as if I have hatched out of my cocoon of pain. All the annoying pain that has been a sore in my muscles have been torn off. The fatigue in my eyes have been clean off. The stiff sore on my back was completely fixed. I don't see anything that could explain it. Did I really die? Or was it just a hallucination? Maybe it resurrected me. I don't really know. I stood up and scanned the monitors to find all the entities I've escaped. What's left are scratch marks, blood stains, and bones decorating the interior. Chills crawled around my spine in all directions, knowing that there'll be entities in the way. If I want to escape this place, I have to figure out a way to surpass them. I hate that idea, but I know well enough that I have to. If I want to find my sister, I got to surpass through those entities first to escape. And I need to know more about what happened, why I forgot about her, and what happened between us. Well, guess I'll have to escape the inferno. As the echoes of unimaginable horrors fade and the veil of mystery lifts, thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown depths. Tonight's tale of secret prisons and cosmic entities reminds us that some secrets are hidden for a reason, and the past can hold more than we ever imagined. If you were captivated by tonight's story, please leave a like and subscribe for more chilling narratives. Share your thoughts in the comments, or if you dare, send in your own experiences with the supernatural. Until next time, remember there are shadows in the deepest corners of our world, and some of us have seen what lies within. Stay curious, stay cautious, and always question what you believe to be true. Thank you, and stay haunted.